Hello, friends. It's Jason, and this week's Brain Food is about the concept of pushing through the rut you might find yourself in when you've been doing something consistently for a long time and you just hit that grind where it becomes a labor. Whatever it is, whether it's golf practice or going to coffee for sales opportunities and networking opportunities or going to the gym to exercise, it's tough for all of us to consistently do that day in, day out, week after week. And we all find ourselves in that place at some times during different seasons where we find that it's a grind and it's sometimes really hard to push through. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit today because over the years, I've had clients that are doing their storytelling on a weekly basis that find themselves in that position. Often it's the first 6 to 12 months when they hit their first grind, and we have to have a conversation. And what makes sense is think about why you're doing what you're doing. The only reason anybody's going to spend a consistent amount of time and energy is to achieve a goal, to win that prize, whatever it is that you're trying to get to, whether it's losing weight or earning new business or staying top of mind with people with the stories that you're telling. There has to be a reason that you're spending the time on these efforts. So when I work with clients, I'm working with them on a monthly basis and I help them get their stories out. They go out every single week. What I've found is most companies, that's a pretty good frequency for doing it. Anything more than that is a little bit too much of a grind for companies. Sure, new companies that blog with me, they're excited to tell their stories and they've got employee spotlights and charity things to talk about and new clients and all this stuff. But over the course of 3 or 4 months, they kind of exhaust that. And they have to go back to the well and try and figure out, well, now what are we going to talk about? So it's important to start out with something that you can maintain forever, because when you start doing storytelling on social media or doing any blogging or anything like that, it's not something you just stop, because the idea here is you're doing consistent things to stay top of mind with all the people that you're doing business with or want to do business with. So when they find themselves in that position where they're just like, it's a grind, to push through, you have to talk about why we're doing something. So let's talk about the blogging thing for just a second. If you think about it, whether we're going to coffees or we're telling stories, whether we're doing status updates on LinkedIn, these things are, from a marketing and sales perspective, our ultimate goal is to stay top of mind with people, improve the chances that they're going to remember us when it comes time for them to buy something or refer them to somebody who needs what you're doing. And it's really hard when you go to coffees and lunches and chamber events and ribbon cuttings and all these other things, peer group meetings, to stay top of mind with people consistently. And that's one of the things that's been a big sea change with social media, is the fact that you tell your stories every week, make comments on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever makes sense for your business. And that's how you stay top of mind with so many more people, so much more consistently. But it does become a grind. So we have to ask ourselves the question, well, what other marketing would we be doing that's going to have this kind of an impact? Because if you think about it, marketing isn't a one and done kind of thing. It's not like you send out a mailer and you're going to have business for the rest of your life. Just like going to the gym. You can't go to the gym one time and expect to lose 45 pounds. So it's one of those things you have to commit to a long-term process. So if you're going to spend the time doing marketing ongoing, which is what most companies that are successful have to do to be successful, what are you going to spend your energy on? And I make the case that telling stories is the number one thing from a marketing perspective. Any company, especially that's doing a local thing, especially business to business kinds of companies, just keeping top of mind by telling stories is the best thing that they could be doing. And that has nothing to do with me getting new business or anything like that. That's just a fact. It's hard to argue that fact, because if you think about where companies get their business, it's a word of mouth referral most of the time. So when you or your team find yourself in that position where you're finding it's that grind, ask yourself the question, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Do we want to increase sales? Do we want to have opportunities and prospects in the pipeline and things like that? If the answer is yes, that's why you're doing it. Do we want to do we want to show people in the community that we're trying to do good work and we're trying to do good things and we're trying to hire good people? Well, if the answer to that is yes, that's why you're doing it. And so sometimes work's not fun. It's just something you have to do. And those are words of wisdom from one of my clients that I've had this conversation with recently. It's like, you know what? The end goal has to happen. So even though this moment, it might not be fun, we just have to do it because the end result is important. So that's how I suggest you push through that grind next time, is to really sit down and make a list, grab your pen and paper and write down why you're doing what you're doing and try to set some goals for yourself. Whether that's losing weight or making sure you're consistently doing status updates on LinkedIn, whatever it is that you need to do on a weekly, daily, monthly basis, put that down on paper so that you can remember that next time you hit the grind, well, this is why I'm doing it. And with that, I'm going to close. I hope you got some good value out of this today, this brain food. And if you like the content, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe on YouTube if you're willing. Have a great day. I'll see you next week.